Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia Esposito, Director of Content and New Media for Retail TouchPoints. And frankly, it's been a whirlwind of a few weeks digging into the content and overall experience for NRF. I know it's always a must attend for a lot of folks in the industry, and things look very different this year. But I know personally for me, it's been really enlightening and a positive experience to still see the community come together, talk trends, best practices, lessons, and most importantly, ideas for the new year. And that's really our goal for RTP, to dig into some of the hot topics. That's why I'm thrilled to have Thomas Kurian joining me of Treasure Data. TK, thank you so much for taking the time out to join me.
Thanks for having me. Happy New Year, Alicia.
Yeah, you as well. I know we haven't touched base in a while, so really excited to talk shop, talk about some of the big trends that you're seeing in the space, because digital and data play very big roles in it. Of course, if you read any of the headlines, we're hearing so much about the impact and rise of digital. It started at the height of COVID, I guess you could say, during the summer, although we're kind of going through a second wave now in the US. And I'm curious, because we're kind of seeing this digital influence sustain right now because of local regulations, people staying at home, minimizing their trips to the store. How do you believe this influence, this digital influence, will evolve and ultimately drive tech priorities in 2021? Because NRF is always big on zeroing in on tech investments, tech trends. What do you think is really rising to the top right now?
So I think this year things are different, and this is, I mean, I think what I was influenced by from a retail perspective was early last year, early into the lockdowns. Brian Cornell, the CEO of Target, said actually at an NRF session, long range planning used to mean 3 to 5 years in advance for retailers. And that horizon has shrunk to 4 weeks with daily adjustments needed daily. So this has radically changed retailers and retailing as planning horizons, have become significantly short. And retailers in the process last year have become extremely agile and extremely innovative. But they still need to transform. And given the horizons of weeks now with daily adjustments, retailers are transforming to real-time data-driven operating models. And that is a fundamental change in how retailing and retailers are operating going forward. At the same time, as we all know, retailers must always own the customer experience. And so the transformation into real-time operating models will be first visible in customer impacting use cases before the click and after the click. We see technology investment being prioritized in three areas driven by real-time customer data. One is the shift to digital customer journeys and personalization in all modalities: mobile app, website, messaging, video, in-store, what have you. Everything has to be influenced by digital customer data, ideally in real time and in all modalities. The second is around customer service, in-store, contact center, delivered by an associate or AI or a robot, what have you. It has all to be driven by data and specifically real-time customer. And lastly, there's customer-facing operational use cases like curbside delivery or in-store pickup or any customer service that it requires a conversation. That will again be driven by real-time data. So these are the big changes we are looking forward to and helping retailers with this year.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there that we're going to dig into and kind of peel back the onion, so to speak. So the shift to real-time data, looking at what's happening in the moment, very important topic. I know I've been hearing a lot in conversations about how this current landscape is so volatile and driven by so many different factors, right? There are so many different things impacting our decision making process, not just where we're shopping, but how we're shopping, the brands we choose. And that data, that insight is currency for retailers, right? It helps create that better understanding and allows them to move forward effectively, right? It's new trends, new ideas, new innovations, new opportunities, gold mine. So you talked about the shift to real-time data. I guess the follow-up question for you is, are you seeing the urgency from the retailer's perspective, where are their heads at, and in your view, what's kind of required for success now? Is it that ability to aggregate and access and leverage it in real time? Like, what's really key to maximizing the value out of all of that data?
As you know, firstly, I completely agree with you. Everyone is a data company now, whether it's a retailer or a construction company. Everything is driven by data. And we are absolutely seeing this urgency from retailers specifically for higher volume and velocity of customer data to drive this real-time operating model. From a treasure data perspective, we define real-time data as sub 5-second services where data from our platform has to be served to systems or associates to impact these customer facing priorities. So a customer facing interaction, whether it be done by a system or whether it be done by a person, in all those activities, seconds matter. Minute may be too late. Minutes are definitely too late. So there are three imperatives where retailers are looking to impact real-time customer data and insights. The first is clienteling, um, digital and in-store clienteling, both. And last year, as we all know, a new role was created, the digital or online associate who provides clienteling using contact sensor tools, as opposed to it being just done in store. The second is around in store. I think this is going to be very important in 2021. Every customer, including I, want to get back in store as soon as possible. And a lot of customers, in fact, I think probably a majority of customers will go back into the stores again for the first time to get vaccinated, ironically. Just like there was a big rush to invest in technology last year for e-commerce and the digital experience, I believe there'll be a big rush to invest in the customer experience in store from that moment on. And that will radically change the customer impacting use cases. Thirdly, around the mobile app. And last year, the mobile app uh, uh, has become the new loyalty program. According to Shopify, more than 70% of e-commerce purchases came from the mobile experience. A lot of investment from a technology perspective will go into making that retailer mobile customer experience more fun, entertaining, live, and addictive. And with respect to success measures that you alluded to, what really matters to a retailer and our retail customers are measures on how they impact their customer. Are they being helpful? Are they being useful to a customer in all channels? And operationally, can they deploy technology solutions in weeks to make that happen? Like Brian was alluding to. Uh, Packaged platforms and solutions can deliver results faster for retailers than do-it-yourself solutions. So I think there'll be a much larger appetite for packaged solutions delivered through the cloud, as opposed to building multi-year projects that used to be done.
Fascinating stuff. I do want to zero in on your point around mobility and, of course, extending into that, just the broader digital experiences and service opportunities because, I agree. We've really seen that boost in not just mobile activity, but also mobile movement, I feel like, on behalf of retailers, right? Really figuring out ways to differentiate that app experience, which I feel like we've been talking about apps for a very long time. There's always been that underlying challenge of how do I keep our customer coming back to that app experience? How do we make it interesting and valuable enough or even entertaining enough for it to be worthwhile for people to keep it on their home screen, right? So I think services, unique services or whether it be chat or anything like that, it has really come to the forefront. But that's kind of a broader, I think, e-commerce trend and opportunity. I mean, I feel like I've seen such a diversification of digital services, whether it's chat, like I said before, SMS, text messaging, right? Like I receive a text from a stylist, but also live streaming, which kind of gets into that social commerce territory, but it allows you to have that personal connection with an actual person, even if you're shopping online. So tying this to data, then our conversation that's kind of driving this, how does real-time customer data help, I guess, create consistency across all of these different channels? Like, say, if a shopper is using text and then hops to like maybe live streaming or somewhere else, but also how does it help from a brand perspective, right? Because I feel like we're trying to, flex our brand presence by getting in front of the customer in so many different ways and being there in a more personal way, but I'm sure data drives that in some way, right?
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I mean, consistency from a brand experience perspective and personalization is a fundamental tenet in customer experience going forward. And let's maybe start with clienteling. Uh, Clienteling is or was done only in store. And it was driven by customer data, but from a black book primarily. Last year, clienteling changed with the creation of this new role, digital online retail associate, who uses tools available in a contact center and data to provide clientele. Now, that experience for an associate and an agent has to be uniform, whether it be in store, whether it be a AI chatbot, whether it be a person from the contact center, and that has to be driven by the same data. The second is live streaming. I mean, you alluded to live streaming. Live streaming is huge in other markets, and I have heard forecasts that for the first time this year, probably 50 million people in the United States may experience live streaming at least once in the retailer's mobile app. And so going forward, clienteling, in-store, contact center, live streaming, all that has to be driven by identical, uniform, fresh, persistent customer data in real time. So we all know that retailers have petabytes of customer data. And I think it is unfair for associates and agents to be asked to deliver this awesome mission critical personalized customer experience without real time data. So this shift is happening. Some brands are ahead of the others, but I think this will be very mainstream through this year. And I agree with you. People are shopping digital far more significantly, and therefore that has led to a much diversification of tools and platforms that have taken place. And I believe the diversification will continue, and that's because of the need to execute in weeks with packaged software, as opposed to building something on their own. And because of this, there is more of a need to have a single source of truth from a customer data perspective and deliver that in real time, as opposed to having the system wait when I'm talking to someone or in front of someone for minutes, etc. I think that is just completely going away. We have a lot of customers interested in taking advantage of real-time data, specifically focused on empowering this year in-store associates and contact center agents with fresh, unified customer data that the retailer has on them when the associate is engaging with them. And also, secondly, AI to guide the associate with next best action in the moment. For example, somebody wants to cancel something, they need to provide an alternate from this endless aisle of inventory. They need that information in real time. So if the customer has viewed something or put it in her cart in a previous experience and not purchased it, it'll be helpful for the associate or the agent to have that information to suggest that. So these kind of use cases, people are very, very interested in. And lastly, during the holiday season, several of our customers were actually using real-time data to pivot every hour on what merchandise they should promote, what merchandise they should, promote to an individual as opposed to an audience, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the areas that we see as extremely promising, essentially empowering the customer for self-service with the real-time data and is empowering agents and associates with data to help that customer.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to hear how you lay all of these different phases or elements of the customer experience out, because it really shows how connected all of these different things are, right? So that one conversation that an in-store associate has with a customer can ultimately impact the post-store digital shopping experience, and that impacts merchandising and inventory. So I think it really shows more and more, how these synergies are happening and how data is that ever-present ingredient, so to speak, in all of this. We are going to get into inventory management and planning in a second, but first I do want to go back to your point earlier around the return to the store, right? And I know I'm 5 minutes from a shopping mall and a series of, outdoor shopping areas, and people are out, right? It's not like isolated or desolate. So I think it is a reality, but the added layer to that complexity, I guess you could say, is that it does vary. It varies depending on the day. It varies depending on where local areas are in terms of, COVID cases. So there are a lot of factors at play, which makes that planning even more difficult, to your point. Not just, just general store traffic, but also demand for, are people doing curbside pickup? Like, how should I allocate, my workforce? How should I make them spend their time and their day? There are a lot of uncertainties, a lot of things you have to consider. So, I mean, let's zoom out and can you share some of those challenges that come with the return to the store? What should retailers be thinking about? And of course, ways that they can better plan, or I guess in this case, be more responsive and agile to these factors as they change?
Great question. I think the retailers that have mobile apps are going to win in this area. And because this experience of return to store, as you alluded to, is now a planned process. And everything starts from the mobile app. And the mobile app is something we can, it's a better modality because we're on the go, we're doing 45 different things at the same time right now. And it's a nice medium to engage with the retailer. And so if retailers don't have mobile apps, they definitely should accelerate and get mobile apps to be their primary loyalty program. For the retailers that have mobile apps in various in the spectrum of traction, there are ways to make this more store friendly. For example, from how we help retailers is we have something called an in-store SDK, a software development kit, a small piece of software that sits in their mobile app and ingest data uh, when the customer is in store or within proximity with permissions, of course. And they are able to collect the in-store or near store path to purchase data and impact that from an experience perspective, whether it be curbside, whether it be in store, whether it is be pickup. It they can definitely impact that with that experience and even personalize. And secondly, with that, just like e-commerce, they are able to get click streams of customer data from physical in-store that they've never had before. So they are, I know they're very bullish about this. I think they're very anxious on triggering this at the right time because of our health situation. But I think this will help them extremely, collect clickstream data in a physical store or within proximity in a curbside kind of use case, and then use that data to impact the journey and to impact operations.
Oh, that's great. A lot of good stuff there. And yeah, it's been interesting to hear retailers' strategies, approaches to not just, the initial reopening process, but how are they continually tracking, what's happening at the local level and how does that scale? So definitely a lot of lessons, I'm sure, from over the past year and I'm sure to come in 2021. But before we close things out, TK, I mean, I think the elephant in the room for a lot of retailers through 2020 was inventory, right? Inventory management, tracking out of stocks, being able to replenish based on demand. There were a lot of factors, I think, that threw folks for a loop. And I think the fact of the matter is that it's still relatively volatile, again, just based on so many different conditions and mindsets of the consumer. And, that's a whole other conversation. I think the psychology of buying decisions and shopping, a lot is very hard to predict. And I don't think that's necessarily going to change. But what role can CDP play in helping add a bit of clarity and focus to the decision-making process and, kind of help eliminate some of the complexity and headache of the whole thing?
Yeah, this is a great question, and it is. I mean, a precise real-time inventory visibility from an operational perspective, it has always been important for retailers. And I think what has changed is now it is a customer facing and customer impacting use case. For example, if I want to buy a Nintendo Switch, I need to know whether it is in store before I'm going to make that journey. So visibility into fast moving items and real time precise inventory uh, is a trigger for a customer to come in. So search used to happen in a physical store. That search has moved to a mobile app before I go to a physical store to pick up the item. And that certainty brings the certainty of inventory brings the customer into the store. So that's why this is very important now. And the technologies are there from a customer data perspective. Be the customer data platform, our customer data platform provides them this data of what the customer is looking for. If it is not in store and if it does not bring the customer into the store, they can personalize and send a message, for example, telling them when exactly it'll be in the store, or enables a use case like reserve online, pick up later, or ship from store whenever it's or ship from warehouse whenever that happens. So then they don't lose the sale. Precise inventory matters from a customer experience from last year onwards. So they definitely do have to catch up. The other area is hyper localizing inventory allocation, which some of our customers are doing. So customer data platforms provide aggregated and hyper localized intent data. So they're able to hyper localize merchandising and displays and inventory allocations. So, for example, within uh, 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 within a few miles of where you live. Ideally, those stores should be equipped with inventory that can serve you and your local community as opposed, and that will be different from for me. So those are the two areas we see a lot of promise, and there is a case study on one of our customers called Stripe, which is a Japanese retailer doing this demand sensing and hyper localizing of inventory allocation that's on our website. So two
Great.
real-time mission critical operations,
Yeah.
that are customer impacting.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up the fact that this is now a customer issue, right? Because I feel like there were like hints of that, a few years back when we started to talk about the role of inventory management, supply chain, right, and facilitating that seamless omni-channel journey, which everyone was talking about how do we achieve that, but now it's really coming to the forefront with actual use cases and examples, and that inclusion of the intent data really adds that level of granularity. So thank you so much for breaking that down for me, TK. I think we covered a lot of ground, a lot of trends that, like I said earlier, are all kind of connected, playing off of each other, influencing each other to ultimately improve that customer experience. And you've kind of talked about, the work that Treasure Data is doing, how your solutions are helping facilitate these experiences. But if you were to kind of distill your priorities at a strategic level, even a tactical level, right? I think, 2020 was a big year for our community to come together, collaborate, share ideas, come up with solutions. What's, at the top of the priority list for Treasure Data this year?
So a lot of our daily work from our customer success team is specifically focused on the five top areas where we are helping retailers and also CPG customers who are now going direct to customers, which is a retailing experience for them. And the five areas are: one, real-time personalization for omni-channel customer data, and is driven by data from a customer data platform. The second is serving uh, universal customer views to contact centers or in-store task management systems to empower associates with that data to deliver superior customer service. The third is, as I alluded to just earlier, in-store SDK to bring clickstream data from the in-store customer experience and impact that as customers start coming back to store in millions. Demand sensing initiatives to hyperlocalize inventory and collecting that real-time demand signals, intent and actual demand signals to allocate inventory. And we have another customer that's just starting allocating staff on that demand volume uh, from a customer data perspective. And lastly, real-time analytics with artificial intelligence to guide associates and agents with next best action in this customer experience. And this is, these to a large extent, all these five things, uh, maybe 12 months ago, were not significantly invested in. And now the retailers have got to conviction to invest in these five areas. And that's where our customer success team is focused on helping our customers.
That's great. So you're really going to be on the front lines, driving positive and tangible change for these retailers. That's excellent.
Yeah, we are here to serve our customers, and we want to do our best here to enable them to be agile and deliver in weeks.
Yep.
A great experience, and this is going to be a year of change or more change. And we are looking forward to working with our customers on this.
Awesome, TK. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time out to talk about all of these trends. Again, there's so much happening in our world. It's exciting on some days. Some days it's a little bit overwhelming. I can't imagine being in the four walls of the retail office right now. But hopefully this conversation inspired folks, encouraged them to jot down some ideas. So again, really appreciate you taking the time out to share your insights and, of course, your experiences as well.
I enjoyed this. Thank you very much, Alicia.
And of course, everyone out there checking out this conversation, again, we appreciate you taking the time. We know that time is precious, especially in these times. A lot going on. Everyone's very busy. So thanks, as always, for checking out this conversation. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, please feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to continue the conversation. Thanks, everyone, and take care.